The difference between successful people that I have seen in my life and the people who struggle or who are stuck is that successful people focus on assets, whereas the people who are stuck, the people who are moving backwards, in fact, and don't understand why, continue to surround themselves with liability. What is the difference? Folks, let's consider this iPhone, okay? This iPhone could be an asset or it could be a liability. This iPhone is going to become an asset if I use it to propel my business forward, if I use it constructively to create, if I use it to record videos that bring value, if I use it to schedule my days in order to perform at my best. Now, this phone is going to be an endless liability if I only use it passively to consume other people's content, to get hypnotized by the screen. I shouldn't even say if I use it. If it uses me to do what it wants, it becomes a liability. So in this video, I want to talk about the 5 assets that I see successful people paying attention to that I want you to focus on as well. And I've come up with a clear, crisp acronym called R.A.D.A.R that's going to take you through the 5 assets right now. My name is Uncle Z. If you don't know, I make a living making music for big brands and I teach other musicians how to do the same. If you want an introduction to our world, you should check out the free training. It's in the description below. The first asset that I want you to pay attention to is routines. Do you remember the first time you learned how to ride a bike or the first time how you learn how to drive a car? I remember my first time and I had a instructor that was yelling at me and I was trying to figure out where's the gas pedal, where's the brake, what does this button do, how do I even get this thing moving? It seems simple until you actually have to drive for the first time, and then suddenly your brain is overwhelmed with all the things you have to do, all the choices you have to make, all the things you have to remember. That's tiring. Now, driving a car for me is routine. It's actually relaxing, and that is how a routine is an asset. A routine is simply an important action that you have habitualized to a point where the performing of it is automatic. It does not use any of your conscious resources, because if you use conscious resources, you build resistance to that task. Outreach to potential collaborators and clients. If you manage this action, which is so scary to many of you musicians, the successful creative craftspeople are ones who build a network, and they not only build a network, they actually have it as a part of their daily routine. That's one of the most important assets that they have, is they have managed to turn outreach into as simple of an action as brushing your teeth every morning. Make actions that propel your life and work forward, not as occasional actions, but as daily routines. It's not the only routine I want you to set up in your life. I want you to set up routines around making music. Now let's make it easy, okay? You don't have to work on Stairway to Heaven, a 7-minute ballad. Just work on a 30-second track. Those are the kinds of tracks that we're making a living from in our business. 15-second, 30, 45, 60, 90. Just finish them, okay? Get into a habit of finishing them. Take a walk every day, meditate every day, pray every day. Keep yourself balanced and centered so that when a lot of opportunities, a lot of projects come, when you get busy, you have an automatic routine in your day that is non-negotiable. It's not occasional. Just like I hope brushing your teeth is not optional. The next one I want you to focus on is attention. Attention is an asset. It's probably the biggest asset. Some people say time is the most precious resource, but it's not time alone that matters. It's what you actually pay attention to with the time that you have. And I notice so many people paying attention to the wrong things. They're worrying about the distance between their monitor speakers or some bullshit that actually in the end has no consequence to the most important thing, which is like, do you even have projects that will make good use of the equipment that you have in your studio? A lot of people have lack of perspective and they're putting their attention on the wrong things. And because your attention is divided in so many ways, you're unable to think rationally and judge which things are important and which are not. I always think of this metaphor when it comes to attention of the magnifying glass. Let's say you're in a forest, you're trying to start a fire. What you want to do is keep the magnifying glass still over some brush and let the rays of the sun spark into a fire. Now, this can only happen if you keep the magnifying glass still. It ain't gonna happen if you keep moving it around. You really need to be brutally honest with yourself about the stage you're at in your journey. And if you're just starting, don't spend time, money, and attention on things that are not actually going to make the biggest difference that is necessary right now. I know some people who have spent tens of thousands of dollars outfitting their studio, but their skills are not up to par yet. If you're just beginning, you want to focus your attention on building skills, practicing on bringing compositional pieces to a finish. All right, next up in the R.A.D.A.R acronym is D. The letter D stands for two things. Number one, it stands for demos. So segueing on the point I just made, if you do that, you're going to have assets, because an unfinished loop that doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end is not an asset. Because if I call you later on today and I say, I need a 30-second track with that flavor, and you say to me, yeah, I actually started on a thing that kind of sounds like it, but it would need a little bit more work to get finished, and I'll be like, you know what, I actually need it by this afternoon, so thanks, but we'll be in touch. And there's a lost opportunity right there. Whereas if you actually practice to bring things to a finish, you'd be like, you know what, I actually have a few tracks in my library that are just like the reference that you have. Let me send them over. Boom. But it'll be even more of an asset if you showcase it. And that's the next D, and the D is the demonstration. You want to take your demos and you want to showcase them in a clear, crisp, and compelling way to the kind of folks like me and my peers in the business. You know, TommyZ.co, if you check that out, that's a huge asset for me, because every time I outreach to people, the first thing people do is they click on a link to go, who the hell is this person emailing me? And the website then, when they look at it, they're like, oh wow, it's a huge asset to break down the walls, to basically position ourselves as remarkable craftspeople who do work at the highest level of the game. Next up, folks, ability. Ability to solve creative problems. That's a huge asset, right? Because if you have the ability to solve creative problems, you're gonna get more opportunities to solve more creative problems. This asset is developed as a direct result of you working. It's like a positive feedback loop. You really want to pay attention to the right routines, to putting your attention in the right place, and developing lots of finished work that you can showcase so that you can actually get an ability to solve a creative problem and thereby strengthen that muscle. And the final thing that I will keep saying until I'm blue in the face, probably the most important asset of all, folks, it's the people in your life. It's the relationships. Relationships is what's going to be responsible for the best things in your life and work. And to the extent that you develop the right routines around reaching out to people, around improving your craft, around keeping yourself balanced and peaceful and joyful and enthusiastic and healthy, is the degree to which you will keep increasing the amount of your relationships. Relationships not just based on hi, hello, good vibes, but based on deep trust that you are the kind of person who can solve creative problems. The people you're already working with are going to refer you to other people, so you're going to have more relationships. That's essentially how this business works, folks. That's essentially how life works. R.A.D.A.R, the 5 assets that I want you to pay attention to. This is a key differentiator between amateurs and the people who are advancing their way forward. They're constantly paying attention to filling their life, spending their energy, time, and money on assets, things that keep on giving instead of things that keep on setting them back. I hope this video has been helpful. If you've enjoyed it, I think you should watch this one next.